In this SEO agency sales masterclass with Stephen Khanna, who helped grow WhitePress from zero to half a million GBP MMR in just 18 months, you're going to learn how to get more sales at scale for your SEO agency, the best ways to manage and hire a high performing sales team, plus the secrets to sales success and his actionable strategies to land more sales. We're laughing because this is take two of the actual recording. We had the microphone on mute a second ago. So, when it comes to doing sales for a link building agency, where do you start?
Good question. The industry, as we all know, has got such a bad reputation. If I had to bring up three most important points, considering what WordPress does, is A, the international reach we've got. Because if you actually think about it, majority of the link builders or link building agencies out there, they're all focused in the English markets. There's just too much competition. Yet a lot of English brands, they do want to break into other European markets. And that's where our gap in the market has been right from the beginning. And that's what we've been doing really successfully is, right, getting that reach, whether it's digital PR or just getting them, fantastic quality backlinks. Countries like Estonia, Lithuania, Brazil, for example, even, we operate in 30 countries. So I think when people do want to get into link building and they do want to start a link building agency, yes, have your core business model within the English speaking markets or US and UK, but make sure you've got that international reach where you've got connections with those publishers out there, because that's unique. That's your USP. And they're not too many. I could probably count 5 at this stage who probably have that international reach out there. And that's why we became successful. We scaled in the last 5 years from doing 5 million a year to now doing 32 million is what we achieved last year. Hoping to get to 44 million this year, which is going to be our target. That's of course one thing, but when you're trying to start a link building agency and scale up, you need an absolute hungry sales team, fire in the belly. This is one trick which has worked for me. I'm not an SEO. I was running restaurants a couple of years ago. I got into SEO by accident, and I've loved every bit of it. But I think my experience running restaurants gave me that resilience, thinking outside the box, spotting opportunities or creating opportunities, even when people think is just a standard way of life and I'm having a simple email or communication or having a call with my client. But how to turn simple realities into opportunities, literally planting that seed in their head, which all ties back to my restaurant days. Is me as general manager, we had huge targets. Me running Michelin star restaurants, having 63 million pounds annual revenue to achieve, is how do I sell that extra starter? How do I sell that extra side dish, an extra cocktail, rather than Americano? How can I sell him an Irish coffee? How about a cigar going with your cognac? It's saying the right things at the right time in order to plant that seed for people to be hooked into your brand or your offering. And then from there, you control the narrative in order to close the deal, but also keep upselling after every quarter, every time the needle moves. You go back in knowing that, of course, if you don't have the entire budget from them, why not? We should be asking the question, why don't we have? What do you want me to do? Because if someone's ready to give you £1 million a month, even though you have 5 people working for you, but clearly that revenue should make you take those decisions in order to quickly either even outsource some of the stuff or quickly hire people in order to kind of absorb that revenue. The point I was making was I try and hire my sales guys not from the SEO industry. So that thing worked for me, being from the restaurant trade. 3 out of 5 sales guys I've got, they've all been working in the restaurant trade. They're street smart, they're hungry, they've got a point to prove, and they're all smashing it.
That's interesting. And then obviously you've hired and you've scaled out a sales team that's obviously very high performing as well. If you're the owner of an agency, I know so many agency owners who they manage to outsource the marketing, they manage to get rid of the ops, they manage to offload everything apart from the sales. Why do so many people struggle hiring for sales and SEO?
Kind of goes back, I was just saying, there are plenty of salesmen out there. Finding quality people, my hiring and interview process, hiring a salesperson is, it doesn't matter to me what's your experience. It comes down to attitude, personality, sense of humor. If that person's able to wow me and literally floor me with their personality, that's it. Because again, it's a simple logic I follow. Like, trust, close. What I mean by that is they need to like you. If they like you, they'll trust you. If they trust you, they'll give you their business. However, that entire journey from them liking you involves a lot of steps, cracking jokes, giving compliments, of course, being honest and natural about it, and not thinking, oh, if I say that, would that be too unprofessional? And I'll be honest, there are lots of my existing clients, even in this conference, where I've been going out with them doing silly stuff the last couple of days. Me sending voice notes to them and using swear words as if I'm talking to my mate from my uni. But you need to do that. They have to take you as your mates, because then they'll give you their business, or at least they'll try to give you their business. They'll have those conversations with you. And even if you end up screwing some stuff up, they won't actually fight. They'll still give you that benefit of doubt, because they know, heart of hearts, okay, the guy is genuine. He's being upfront. He's going to correct what he has screwed up, or he or she. So, yeah, it's a combination of having the right minded people into sales. Experience counts. Yes, you can perhaps do a bit of automation. They might know, okay, how many cold calls or contacts to do in a day, because it's the classic sales funnel. The more you put in, the more you get out.
Inputs, outputs.
Yeah. And it's even more difficult because it's link building. Everyone gets your dear sir, madam emails, 100 of them every day. I get them. No one even looks at that, which is the pain point. But and this is again going back to restaurant days. We actually loved having a client complain because we know exactly what they want. And then we simply applied that logic and then changed our SOPs to make sure that never happens. So having a negative opinion or people blocking you is actually a good thing. All you need to try and do is just get that one-line feedback. Why wasn't it us? And if you got that relation with them, 9 or 10 times, you'll at least end up learning from it.
Makes sense. It kind of seems like you're breaking that third wall, aren't you, between what I see a lot of agencies do is, particularly when they're starting out, they treat them as a client, and they have this barrier between you and them, where it's like the more connection you have between your client and yourself, the stronger that relationship is, and the more likely they are to stick with you through the good times and the bad times. When it comes to having such a big team, 23 people on the sales team, that's pretty sizable for a sales team. How are you keeping up with the demand for leads, for new sales calls, for new clients coming in? Like, how do you keep that lead flow coming in?
Yeah, so we got a few channels for lead generation. So Apollo and Hunter being, some of the tools we use a lot for lead generation. They've all been integrated in every sales manager's sales navigator account. So we get to the decision makers by, using the tool properly, using the right filters there. And then again, going back to that classic theory where every sales manager in my team needs to contact 45 new people, decision makers, every day.
Nice.
Because we know the conversion at the end of the day would still be 3 to 5%, sometimes even lower. But what we're looking for is that those one or two absolute massive giant accounts, and then combined with few of the little ones. And that's it. Because end of the day, it is a numbers game. So when I'm trying to do my own personal KPIs and targets, yes, I'm head of English markets. Do I really need to sell? Not really, but I give that challenge to myself to start with. And I think that's one message I'd like to give out to a lot of agency owners and CEOs. You're in the business to make money. Let's just face it. It's not charity. Yeah, you pass out knowledge and all of that. Fantastic. That's just the cherry on the cake. But you're there to make money. And if you as an owner and an agency are not good at sales, you will never hire the right people. You can never ask the right questions. And I can guarantee you, sitting here today, a lot of salespeople are absolute bastards. They'll lie, they'll cheat in terms of, putting contacts in CRM, in HubSpot, whatever. And if you don't understand the sales mentality, they'll always try and pull the wool over your eyes. So I know a couple of my own competitors, CEOs, who are fantastic salesmen. They actually bring in the most revenue. And that's what I've been doing, leading from the front, not being a manager, but a leader. So I don't, of course, manage a lot of accounts now because the business is just grown rapidly. What I do now is some of the most important ones, I do the discovery call and then I close the deal and then I simply pass it on to the other sales managers and they do a bit of account management with them. And if they happen to grow the monthly spend with them after I'd agreed a certain spend with them, then that commission, that bonus just goes to them. So I'm kind of feeding them in a lot of ways, the leads coming in. On top of that, of course, we got our own marketing team and we do a lot of blog posts, writing out there, retargeting on Facebook. But there's a new idea which just started. I'm going to start my own humorous YouTube channel under the umbrella of White Press. I'm going to call it Broken Backlinks. And I'm going to use it as a lead generation channel where I'll try and bring in people who I think, of course, will add value to the channel, pass on great knowledge, but who could also be my potential clients. Because everyone loves an ego massage. Me going up to, I don't know, John Smith, who probably never wanted to use WordPress in the past, but me saying, listen, John, I've always admired your LinkedIn posts and all of that. Listen, why don't you jump on and come on to my podcast or my webinar? Let's talk about it in detail. Let me ask you some questions. We, of course, will advertise that in 30 different countries. I don't think there's a person on the planet who would not like that. And that's it. That there's my foot in the door. We've become mates. We'll crack a few jokes. Might even have a drink or two a week later because we travel a lot for conferences. And that's where we start the conversation.
So many good tips there, right? I think that's great advice. I mean, just going back to that point of like, you need to do sales calls yourself. Like, this is something I found as well. So, for example, in the past, I did a few sales calls, then created a system around it. But I can tell you, when I trained that team, first time round, it was nowhere as high performing in terms of conversion rates versus the second time round when last year I did like 250 sales calls, then put the system to my team. Conversion rates were way higher because I had the experience to help them. And also, when I look back at their sales calls, it's like, right, I can coach them on, you need to improve this. This is what you did great. Here's how you can improve next time. When you have that experience, like you say, with leading from the front, you can just help your team 10 times better. You can coach them better, right?
I agree. But obviously, you need to have SOPs in place. You need to have templates in place. We have all of that. Do we sit on that one template every 6 months? Of course not. We tweak our templates every week. We pick up phrases, quotes, really smart ones where we've seen people using them, but apply your own personality to it, just to add that personalization to it. But then I do happen to listen to a lot of sales call. So we use VoIP Studio in WordPress. Every call is recorded. So every Tuesday, I dedicate 3 hours of my time and I go in and I just randomly do a call audit and I'm listening to their pitches, what's going on. And then once every month, when I have my performance one-to-ones with everyone, by including the sales managers, I've got that feedback written down and I tell them and I coach them. Okay, mate, this is where you lost this opportunity because the gentleman or the lady was open for a longer conversation. Because sometimes it's just hard, when you're doing 40, 50 calls a day, you sometimes lose sense of reality and the emotion goes away and you fail to spot opportunities coming up. And to be honest, I'm sure you're aware, any other industry, they'll expect you to make 80 calls a day. I've been in businesses, nothing to do with SEO, where all of us were expected to do 80 calls a day, minimum talk time of 2 minutes, 40 seconds. It was that precise. But then you just sound like a robot. The heart goes away. That's why I've brought that number down in WordPress. That's a perfect balance to still be energized from call 1 to call 40. And you can still add that personalization. You still have time to research who the client is, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, website, Facebook. I'm sorry, I might sound like a stalker, but the game of sale is quite difficult, with the intense competition out there. So yes, a combination of SOPs, you're still leading from the front, but then having time to step back to still keep coaching and mentoring.
Do you think, because obviously SEOs, sometimes they can be a little bit introverted, like they're quite comfortable sitting behind a laptop, not interacting with people, interacting with WordPress instead. Do you think that sales is a skill that can be learned, or do you think it's something you're born with? Because a lot of people probably feel intimidated by, say, the idea of being like a Wolf of Wall Street style salesman.
Yeah, good question. I'm still in two minds, to be honest, because I've had a bit of both. With my sales team or the guys I've coached or mentored, I've had absolute natural born superstars who've had not a minute's worth of sales experience, and they've stepped in. It's like fish being in water, and they've absolutely smashed it from week one. And there have been few introverted people, but what I do with them is, okay, is that something I can create an environment to make them feel a lot more comfortable so they come out of their shell. And I've taken that risk sometimes. Gut instinct, okay, the guy's at least speaking a lot of logic, right? Bit in their shell. Okay, let me just take them out for a couple of beers, 2 consecutive weekends. Let them just try and get them a bit drunk, a bit tipsy. Let's see if they step out of their shell. Once they do, that gives me enough hope. Okay, I can work on that person's personality a little bit. And that again ties back to the culture I've got within the office in WordPress. So we're an extremely loud team. We sometimes the jokes we crack in there are just. I'm surprised a lot of us still have jobs, because if HR walks past, I think a lot of us will get sacked. But I think that adds to that fun mentality, because we all know that the job's hard enough anyways. So don't moan about it. Let's still have fun, knowing that it's going to be hard. And strange way, you know you're going to struggle, but you're having a chuckle about it and you're cracking jokes, actually drives you to do more. It's like the pressure's off, so to speak. You go in more prepared in that battle of a discovery call or a second call when you're closing the deal, or I don't know, doing a normal sales pitch at the beginning. So that's the culture I've got, and I think I'm sure a lot of people do want to say that as well, where the culture is extremely friendly and all of that. But in my opinion, it's a bit like the Wolf of Wall Street, where everyone was an absolute nutcase, but everyone was fantastically successful. Not 1 second I'm suggesting that people should just keep going drunk, getting drunk every day or getting high, but just have that fun atmosphere. And if you as a leader are leading that, people would just follow you, and then that energy transfers to everyone in there and just becomes a fun working atmosphere where people are, you know what, let's go in there. Or Steve was really clever with that joke. You know what, I'm going to get him back this day. Little things which keeps the fire in the belly getting stronger every day and just propels you to go to your next target.
So, just on that theme of managing a team, when I've managed an operations team, a sales team, even an accounting team, it seems like such a different beast when you're managing a sales team. Like, you've got to be super focused on results, on keeping them motivated, on keeping the positivity there, and also just keeping them inspired, right? How do you manage that?
Lots of crazy night outs. Let me put it that way. And I'm sure quite famous in the SEO space already that I am a party animal.
Yeah, Steve is one of the best dancers. Is it true that you need to be good at dancing to get good sales in SEO?
A lot of people have asked me that question. I think I'm a natural dancer anyways, whether I was busy selling wines or whatever. It is a different beast. As I said, yes, being in sales is being funny, approachable, easygoing. And I think that's what people like to see. And subconsciously, do I do it a little bit more? Perhaps yes, because I know within the SEO space, as you were saying, a lot of people are introverted and they are a bit nerdy. So that's just me reaching out to them. Listen, there's nothing to be scared of me or the hundreds of people around you, because clearly I think I'm an absolute idiot. I have no idea about SEO. So if I could be comfortable in my skin with you guys who know so much about SEO, then you should be doing twice as much as what I do when it comes to socializing or networking. So I think subconsciously that plays on my mind as well, that me reaching out to them will perhaps make them open up a bit more, which again is great, because even if they don't do business with WordPress, they'll at least end up becoming good friends of mine. And as you know, wise men say, your network equals your net worth. So if I had to get a pound of every person I know within SEO space, I'll easily be a billionaire at this time sitting here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think that's a great tip for sure. What about when it comes to learning sales? Is there anyone that you've learned from? For example, for me, I read books by Brian Tracy. I studied courses and videos from people like Cole Gordon as well, absolute beast at sales. Grant Cardone was an inspiration of mine too, like 10x mindset. For sure, you need this in sales. What do you recommend? Who should you learn from in the sales industry?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a self-taught person, to be honest, but there are two people who've actually made big impact. I spent about 5 years working with Gordon Ramsay. This was me being fresh out of uni. Yes, he's a chef, but that guy's passion when it came to understanding business and just making others feel comfortable around him was just mind boggling. So I kind of, yes, I got baptized with fire standing right next to him, but listening to every word he had to say was just, it just set the model of how sales should be done, which is being very people friendly. I learned that from Gordon. And then moving forward, Lord Alan Sugar, Street Smart used to sell beetroot when he was a little kid. And obviously, I've watched and consumed all of his Apprentice episodes. And all you see is how sharp that person is. And this was him knocking down people claiming to be sales gurus. And all he did was he just found the fluff in it, or what they were saying, and just one-liners, sticking to basics. And this is what I say to my team as well. I think the biggest mistake a lot of people do is they overthink everything. And I'm not suggesting that there are sales gurus, the names you've taken. I shouldn't be learning more. Of course, I should be learning more. As long as it's working for me and it's not getting me in that mode of overthinking it, because too much knowledge can also be a curse sometimes. So for me, I've found stuff which works for me, or at least it works for me in this current job in WordPress. And that's the approach and the style I want my sales team to do, and they're clearly being successful at it. If I happen to be working for someone else which wants me to skill up, yes, of course I'll learn. I'm always of that opinion, no matter who's writing the book, case studies, whatever, that's the opinion of one person. Why should I take it as a holy Bible and try and revolutionize or reinvent the wheel in me if it is actually working? It, a lot of the population gets influenced by what they see on social media, news channels, what I call the TikTok culture. I'm a bit of an old fashioned. Maybe I crawled out of a cave or whatever, but I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 48. So I tend to follow my gut instinct a lot. I do tend to question a lot of stuff out there, and seeing is believing for me. If I think something can be achieved, I'll go out and I'll test it. And clearly I'm talking within the space of sales, which is me just coming up with an absolutely ridiculously creative or funny template. Whether, I don't know, use a bit of ChatGPT, but then add your own personalized touch to it, or making an absolutely crazy call to a first-time client and my team just standing up from their booths. What the hell is this guy talking about? Which, again, is a major factor of my success, is taking risks. A lot of people don't take risks. Or they just go the opposite extreme, or they just keep taking risks with no data points, no calculations. I do a lot of calculated risks. I've done deals with some of my biggest clients where they agreed to give all their budget to us if I could somehow leverage WordPress and increase their revenue because they were going through an acquisition stage. Now imagine a link building agency having that kind of conversation with the top leadership, which is almost $1 billion corporation. The amount of trust which must be there for them to actually discuss that with me. So sky's the limit. But yeah, it all comes down to relationships, being in conferences like this, and just making friends. And then the job becomes a lot easier because you even if someone doesn't want to work with you, the answer would come out very quickly. So you're not wasting time on a specific lead. Or you still part ways being best mates because who knows, 6 months down the line, they'll come back to you. And it's happened a lot to me. Personally, the last 6 months, I have not made a single cold call. All my own personal lead generation revenue, which comes through for my personal KPI, it's all been driven by referrals. I had one the other day. Finished my mastermind, I stand up and a lady sitting right behind on the table. I met her once in Chiang Mai. Like, Steve, I think I've got a gambling lead for you. Can we have a chat later on? It was 6 figures, which I've just closed literally within the 48 hours. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that's so true as well. Like with what I've found personally with sales is like it's all about persistence. So sometimes someone might join an email list or watch a YouTube video from like months ago, and then they convert, 12 months, 6 months later, 18 months later, and you can see it all on the CRM. Like they joined maybe 2022, got a ton of emails, checked some YouTube videos, watched a LinkedIn post, and then finally signed up. I think it is a big part about persistence. One thing I wanted to ask you, right, was like when you're hiring a team, obviously you hire a lot of people. There's a little period where you have to train someone up to get them up to the level they need to be. But you're like, right, how much time can I give them? How many leads can I waste on this person before I have to make a hard decision in terms of, okay, should they stay or should they go? How do you deal with that? Like, how much time do you give someone?
Yeah, yeah. Good question. Again, it comes down to the product and the service we offer. It's links, link building, digital PR, which is not the easiest stuff. So standard around the world, people coming in with some sort of experience, they'll have first month's training, second month, you start bringing in X amount of revenue. By the end of third month, you should have enough leads in the pipeline to show promise to get a new contract or pass your probation, and obviously generate an X amount of revenue depending on what the annual budget targets are. With me personally, I actually give them 5 months because I know it's a tough world out there. I've hired experienced sales managers smashing it in any other sector industry, but being absolute failures when it came to link building. It's a dog eat dog world out there. You need to be like street smart in a way that you are in your Sunday farmers market, being creative, and everyone's selling fish out there. So why would someone walking past just stand by at your booth to try and buy the same salmon, which perhaps costs maybe 20p more or the same price compared to the bloke right next door? So yeah, I do temper that with reality, and this is again because I've got my feet on the ground. Even though I've had huge success, I still want to talk to a lot of people. I still want to close deals because classic I've seen in the past with the restaurant trade where ops managers, CEOs, when they're making these executive decisions, sitting in their boardroom, they've lost touch with reality. All they do is they go around to fancy dinners, they hear another agency or company doing this, and they say, "Oh, why aren't we doing it?" But they've got no sense of reality, how that person got there, what sort of SOPs, marketing, what sort of money which went in order to drive that revenue or leads to them, and it's because they've stopped working hard, and that's one thing I'll never do. And this is again thanks to my restaurant days. No matter what position you were, I've been general manager for 15 years, wearing fancy suits and all of that. But once the doors opened, you were just another waiter, you were just another chef, you were just another bartender. So you were supposed to be hands-on. And that's ingrained in my DNA, where I am a very hands-on leader. So whether it's the ops team, the content writing team, or the sales team, they already know if Steve comes asking questions, that means he already knows the reality. The reason he's asking questions, he wants to find out, do you know what you've done? And if you know, will you make that attempt to pull the wool over my eyes? But that again is because I'm in constant touch with reality. Is it tiring? Of course it is tiring. Do I work a lot? Yes, but compared to the restaurant world where I was doing 90 hours a week, I do maybe 50 hours a week. For me, it's still part-time.
There you go. 50 hours is part time a week now. I like your mindset, man. Like, honestly, I see, particularly in the SEO space, a lot of people want a lifestyle business. I see a lot of SEOs in the industry who just want to work a few hours here and there, get a bit of passive income, and not really grow. And I think if you're willing to work hard, then you'll make it work, right? And like with SEO and with sales particularly, hard work always pays off. It's about chasing people, it's about closing the deal. And it doesn't matter what's gone before, it's all about the result, right? 0 to 90% closed is still 0% closed. You've got to do everything you can and work as hard as you can. How do you keep your motivation so high?
Personal goals, to be honest, I think that satisfaction that when you go to sleep, you worked hard enough every day. And I'm not blaming people who want to have, $1 million exits after running a fantastic agency for 5 years. I'd also love to do that. But is that in me? I'm not sure. A quick 30-second story. When I moved to Poland from the UK, my wife's Polish. After doing 23 years in the restaurant, I thought, feet up, I'll just watch Chelsea play because my wife was running her own agency. 3 weeks in, I was pulling my hair out. I just couldn't sit still. So I think it just comes down to how you are as a person, as a personality. And I'm just a very inquisitive person, setting my own targets week in, week out. My dad said that to me once, and I firmly believe leave your own legacy, create your own legacy. Numbers do matter, but once you kind of walk away into the sunset, people should be talking about you. You know, mate, that gentleman, that person, that lady, they did smash it out of the park. They gave it all. I'm sure you know, you've heard, I'm called like an energizer bunny in the SEO space. You know, work hard, party harder, or the hardest, and that's what I do.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for all the tips today. Some great tips on sales there, managing a team, how to recruit, how to get leads in the first place, and even how to close. So I really appreciate that. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So you can find me quite active on LinkedIn, Stephen K. It's a bit of a crazy profile picture there, so please excuse me for that. That's just me and my personality. Or just go onto WordPress's website, hit on the British flag, and you'll see my number out there. If not, I'm sure you'll find me in any of these fantastic conferences. The loudest guy, the guy with the most dance moves on the dance floor, that will be me. Just come up and say, I think you're Steve.
Awesome, man. Thanks very much. So, thanks so much for watching. That was the Sales Masterclass with Stephen Khanna. If you want to get in touch with him, I've left a link to his LinkedIn and WhitePress's website inside the description. If you want to book in a free SEO strategy session with us about white labeling SEO, feel free to book that in. Links in the comments and description again. And I have a free agency course to get more leads and clients to your agency. Just check that out. Links in the comments and description as always. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Bye-bye.